I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends. It is once again time to speak in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs, he's Ben. You are in Clown World, and what a clowny world we find ourselves in. Ben, how have you been?
I am doing well. Got my Keystone Light Apple, a little lip pillow, ready to do the show.
Excellent. Sounds like you got all the bases covered.
All my legal substances.
Yeah, there you go. So, what do you want to hit on tonight? I sent a list of a couple of things over.
The one that gives me the most hope is the England story.
All right, so we can start off there.
Yeah. Because we talk about the poor state of England regularly, and it appears that the English people have decided to do something about it.
Yes, they did. Oh boy, did they!
And they have a completely different system than we do. Their local, no, correct me if I'm wrong, their local city elections affect their national stature of their parties. Is that right?
Um. Okay, so the local elections that they had right now are, if I was interpreting this correctly, and I've been listening to a lot of the Lotus Eaters lately.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm interpreting it right, these local elections that recently came out, they do not necessarily affect the devolved parliaments of the constituent states like
Mm-hmm.
England, Wales, and Scotland. These are more for local elections for the townships and stuff. And these local elections, they don't typically have a large turnout for for voting. Like they're usually like a 30% of the electorate shows up to vote for them. This time they had somewhere in the high 40s. Now the thing that these local elections are, however, their next general election, which is going to be for the upper seats in the national parliament, is going to be in 2029. This is when they elect their PM and their MPs for the national parliament. But what these local elections tend to be is more of a bellwether for the way that the country is going to be going, insofar as how the people are going to vote in the national elections. And it seems like the tides have swung greatly. Now, for people who are interested in UK politics, whether it affects you or whether you're just interested, and I particularly happen to really enjoy keeping an eye on UK politics because the UK is usually 2 to 10 years ahead of the United States in the direction that we're going. You'll remember before we got Trump, they had Brexit. And so it does kind of show the wider Anglosphere's track on where they're going. So in the same way it does that, these local elections show the way that the UK is going. And the UK right now voted massively for Nigel Farage's reform. So much so that there were something like 3,000 seats that were voted on, and Labour lost half of what they had. The Tories lost like half of what they had. And in a lot of the constituencies where Reform picked up seats, they beat the next two parties combined. Now, the big players this year, actually, let's backtrack a bit.
Mm.
The big players in years past have been the Tories, the Conservatives, and the Labour Party. And you can kind of analogize them to be like the Tories are kind of like our Republican Party, and Labour is kind of like their Democrat Party. Although, to be fair, the Tories are kind of like our Democrat Party, and Labour is kind of like Democratic Socialists of America. They really do not have a right wing party in the UK, ostensibly up until now. Now, that being said, Nigel Farage's Reform Party has been getting a lot of heat from the right that that have been saying that they're not going hard enough. And Nigel Farage he's kind of got a reputation over the last 30 years of being in politics of almost like an unwitting containment unit. He comes up with these right-wing populist positions, and then he kind of corrals all of the right wing under, like a hen collecting her chicks, and then he just sits on them and doesn't let them actually do the things that the right side of UK politics would like to do. And even though the voting patterns in the last 30 years have been, kind of flip-flopping between Labour and Tories, polls around the country have indicated that the British, kind of at large, but mainly the English, are much more conservative in their worldview than the voting record of the members of Parliament would have the world believe. And so, after being not somewhat, absolutely betrayed by Boris Johnson's Conservatives after the Brexit referendum a few years back in like 2014,
Mhm.
there has been a low simmer of right-wing populism in the UK, and that seems to have recently boiled over with these local council elections. Now, in the last general election 2 years ago, the Tories were the incumbent party that had a majority, and they were almost all but swept out. It was almost a complete rout by Labor. However, it wasn't because Labor was liked, it was because the Tories were hated. Voter turnout in the last general election was somewhere in like the high 20s or the low 30s. And for a general election, that's really, really, really
I
low.
mean, you could almost frame that. That's how Trump. I mean, if you're not going to go with the election stealing option, that's why Trump lost. I mean, the normies didn't like Joe Biden; they just hated Trump. So I could see that happening there too.
Right. That's that is one way of looking at it. But in the UK election, it was much, much more pronounced than that.
Mhm.
A lot of people were they just checked out of the last election, and this election, like I said, these are the local council elections, and they had like an upper 40s of voter turnout, which is a
Mhm.
lot for this is like your local election for city council and and stuff like that, where a lot of people just can't be asked to go in and vote for something that they seem as small potatoes. But but this time, reform just I think they control over 50%, well over 50% of all seats in the local elections.
Hmm. And once again, showing why a two-party system sucks on our end.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It does, but it's also uh it's what we've got. we don't
Yeah.
we don't have a we don't have a parliamentary uh we don't have a parliamentary system the way that Britain and much of Europe does. So
So this doesn't really change anything in Britain right now, but it's kind of showing what we could expect in 29.
yes, yes, for them, it definitely does. And the kind of the big, I'm not gonna say like the big upset, but the big surprise that came out of this was Rupert Lowe's Restore Party. Now this is kind of gets people on a jag that you have Reform and Restore that are kind of your two right wing parties, and a lot of people kind of get confused like which one's which.
I mean, how in the weeds are you on this? What was the genesis of Restore coming about? Reform wasn't far right enough, or
Okay, so the thing was that Rupert Lowe joined Reform a few years back, and he's a right wing populist from a town called Great Yarmouth. And he got in, and then he was already like a wealthy businessman, and he owned a football club, and he has a big farm in Great Yarmouth, and he was already kind of a well known person. But he got into the parliament. He got elected as an MP under the Restore banner, and then he kind of used that platform to say a lot of things like we need mass deportations, we need incarcerations of people who are committing these heinous crimes against the British people, you know, common sense stuff to you and me, but to the sort of like highbrow British aristocracy that runs politics over there. These things were, they were seen as you can think these things and everybody's thinking these things, but you don't say these things. And so he started getting a lot of attention, positive and negative, and Nigel Farage orchestrated a bit of a coup to oust him from the party. So he became essentially an independent member of parliament because he was literally kicked out of the Reform Party. And so then he just kept saying the things that he was saying, and people were listening to him and being like, yeah, Rupert's saying all of the things that everybody's thinking. And then I think it was like 2 months ago, they planned to launch Restore as a formal party, and they got it registered and everything. And Nigel Farage and Reform are on they're they're on the defensive right now. They're on damage control mode, and they were shit talking and trying to basically say, oh, restore is it's a drop in the bucket. They're not going to get 4% of the vote, yada yada yada. And so with these local elections coming around, Reform had the head start, and they ran candidates pretty much nationwide. Restore only ran 10 candidates in Great Yarmouth. And to everybody's surprise, they swept the field. 10 for 10. Flawless victory. All 10 Restore candidates now have seats in local councils.
So even using that going in the election, they know where they're strong at. So they're going to run some people there to get them into parliament. And I started laughing while you were talking. 308's comment over here, our two-party system be like, hey, kid, you want blue Jews or red Jews?
You're not wrong. Yeah, it's a joke. It's like no matter who you vote for, you still get Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, I mean that'd be damn interesting to see how they start handling immigration reform over there. Then they've got, it's such a I mean, we brought this up before. They're an island nation. It's such a solvable problem.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's that upper crust British aristocracy that is in all of the politics, that even if your constituency is thinking all of this, you're not allowed to say it. And in the last few years, Great Britain has passed a number of just heinous speech laws to where a guy can go out and stab some kids, and then you can say something on Facebook or Twitter like, I've seen enough, deport them all. And then you end up getting arrested and fast-tracked through the judicial system and thrown in jail before the guy who actually killed children gets his trial. It's like doing the crime is bad, but noticing the crime is worse. And so right now it seems like the British people, but especially the English, this is like an almost concentrated in England phenomenon right now, but it will spread the worse things get around, because the majority of the third worlders that are making the problems for the British people right now are concentrated in England, and they're concentrated in a few large cities, places like London and Rochdale and Birmingham and Swindon and a few other larger cities. They've got these large, highly concentrated pockets of various ethnicities that are causing all sorts of trouble.
That doesn't sound familiar at all. I don't.
Yeah, imagine that, big cities being the source of all of your problems. But not only are they bringing the problems that are endemic to these certain people groups, but oftentimes, as we saw, I think it was 3 years ago, they bring problems within the ethnic groups. When you had groups of Pakistani Muslims and Indian Hindus essentially going to medieval warfare with each other in the streets of a couple of these cities over like a football game or something stupid like that. So yeah, you've got a lot of problems, and they're concentrated in a very small area, which to a lot of outsiders like us makes it seem like the problem is a lot worse than it is, because right now the Muslim population in Great Britain is somewhere between 4 to 10% of the population is Muslim. But the amount of headlines that the problems that they cause grab makes it seem like they're like 25-30% of the population.
Boy, maybe they'll get up around 13%, and
we can have a despite.
Another comment over here, under the strict letter of the law, 308 again, they technically could extradite and jail Hobbs for even saying this stuff.
I would like to see you try.
Yeah. My mom was she was working on her passport for something, and she's like, aren't you ever going to get a passport? What if you want to go to, and I was like, no, never. And she's like, what if you want to go to Europe or something? And I said, definitely not. I don't want to be a Count Chocula or Count, what was his name?
Dankula.
Dankula or whatever. Yeah, not Chocula. Count Dankula situation and get locked up by the Brits for, you know, and much like Australia, they have no Bill of Rights there.
No.
I'd love to see like reform or somebody get enough leverage that, you could have an English Bill of Rights and just completely turn that ship around.
Yeah, and they haven't had a Bill of Rights because up until the last 20 years or so, they haven't needed one. They've been culturally and ethnically homogenous enough that the idea, it's called common law for a reason. It's ingrained. They know outright that things like freedom of speech is sacrosanct. You don't mess with that.
Mhm.
And if you go back to our history, you had the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists were going over whether we needed a Bill of Rights or not. And props to the guys that had the foresight that said, no, we need to enshrine in 10 amendments that say that these are the things that the government aren't allowed to touch. For all the good that it's done us, but at least we actually have some type of founding document that we can point back to and be like, hey, when it says do not be infringed, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed, man.
Even if they do it anyways, but it is what it is.
But
Um,
it has a foundation for which you can
right.
challenge certain things in court, and that's what the British people right now are lacking.
We end
It
up
was
with the,
just
oh, you got a license for that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the
So
English Bill of Rights is definitely something that I've heard several British commentators say is something that they need.
yeah, I think you posted the meme. It was some English guy trying to make fun of Americans. He's like, at least I can hang my laundry out. You guys can't even do that in an HOA. It's like, what?
What does that have to do with our government?
Yeah, they're just reaching at that point. So yeah.
Yeah,
Also, we have Ireland's the same boat. Something like 25% of the people there are immigrants. Yeah, within like the last 10 years they hit that, or
yeah, yeah. Absolutely insane. The things that are going on in Ireland and Canada for that reason. They're about a third of their country is foreign born at this point. To the point where I see memes almost daily of like Canada reacting to X, Y, or Z, and it's pictures of Indian people crying.
yeah, and boy, we haven't even hasn't even been on our radar just because I dislike Canada so much. But Alberta, they have you seen that where their signatures to secede from Canada?
Yeah.
They needed what 100,000 some, and they ended up with almost 400,000 signatures of people that wanted a referendum on it.
Yeah. Now let's see if it's actually gets honored.
I mean, that's basically the economic engine of all of Canada. At that
Yeah.
point, their country's just done. It'd be like, I mean, it'd be like if Texas left the United States.
It'd be like if Texas and California
Texas and
left the United.
California, yeah,
Yeah.
and big hit there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, if they do manage to break away, um, our government would never let them in. I mean, the Democrats would fight that tooth and nail,
I don't
even
think
though.
I don't think they want in. I think Alberta has independence on their mind.
Oh,
And
okay, they want to do independence, sure.
yeah, more power to you, Alberta. I'm pulling for you. Um, there's secessionist movements here in the United States, specifically the one down in Texas, where their key phrase that they use when sort of advertising the idea of Texas secession is, if your state was independent right now, why would you want to join the United States? And it's like you can't think of a reason.
Right. In Texas, let me make sure I'm not talking on my ass. I think there's 3 or 4 power grids in the United, or three. Yeah, 3 power grids, east, west, and Texas.
Yeah, yeah. Texas is about the only state that could theoretically secede and do it with a minimum of hurt,
Mhm.
because they do have their own independent electric grid. They do have oil resources. They do have vast tracts of farm and ranch land. They've got everything that they need right there.
Which I don't know enough about Alberta. I assume they could. They have a lot of the farmland and the oil, so
Mhm.
probably would be okay.
They've got a
Um,
lot of the farmland and all of
all the
the
oil.
oil.
Uh, they'll. We shall take Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. The Fallout universe will be manifest.
There was kind of a half joking movement to make an independent nation from Alaska down to Florida and just cut out the west coast and the northeast coast of the United States and just have this massive, they called it diagnalia because it would be diagonal across the continent. But it was founded as kind of a joke, but then when you kind of crunch the numbers a little bit and look at it, you're like, that's a world superpower in the making right there.
Yeah, another comment too. I mean, Texas has the ports too. They got everything they would need. That's
Mm-hmm.
Alberta's downfall. They'd be landlocked.
That is
Um,
true.
you know, speaking of ports, you had some tiff treachery to talk about, right?
The tariffs.
Or tariffs, yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of some old news, but the tariffs were, of course, struck down by the Supreme Court,
Mm,
unfortunately, and it wasn't even necessarily because the tariffs were unconstitutional. Because up until the income tax, the United States government was funded almost exclusively on tariffs. So tariffs are baked into the fabric of this country. What made them unconstitutional was that they were filed under executive emergency orders,
right.
and the Supreme Court said that we're not in any kind of an economic emergency that would require you to file any kind of emergency tariffs, right? So they
Mm,
were struck down. Now the thing about it that makes it so interesting is that basically the author of the tariff scheme that the Trump administration put in was Howard Lutnick. And Howard Lutnick is our commerce secretary right now. And he was formerly the CEO of a large investment firm whose name is escaping me right now. Maybe you can
yeah.
crack it up. It's Howard Lutnick has had a generational streak of good luck. He narrowly escaped dying on 9/11 because his wife told him to take their kid to school. He was an associate of Jeffrey Epstein, but didn't manage to get caught up in any of those sordid affairs. And when he took the job as Commerce Secretary, he resigned his position as the CEO of this asset management fund, and his oldest son, slotted into the CEO's position. Now, in the event that the tariffs would be ruled unconstitutional, the U.S. government would have to repay any of the tariffs that were taken from companies.
Mhm.
So with interest. Now, I don't know about you. I don't talk to my dad every day. I mean, my dad's here right now for my daughter's birthday, but I don't talk to my dad every day.
Mhm.
But I did not take over a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund from my dad.
I think my dad's
So,
leaving me a beat up El Camino. I
hey, I got one of those myself. But but no, it it kind of makes sense that, like, every once in a while, maybe like, hey dad, the company's doing great. How's everything going over there at the commerce secretary, right?
Mhm.
Well, so if you were the author of these tariffs and you found out that your son bet against your tariffs, you'd feel a little bit betrayed, right?
Yeah.
Unless it was a little bit of an inside job. Now, the thing that
Hmm.
happened was that the asset management fund that is now run by Howard Lutnick's kids went to all of these companies that were affected by these tariffs and said, "We will buy the insurance rights to these tariff repayments at 25%." So let's say you have a small business and you end up having to pay the government $10 million in tariffs. This company comes in and says, we will give you $2.5 to $3 million for the recoup rights in the event that these tariffs end up getting ruled unconstitutional. So what that means is you sign these rights over, and if the tariffs go away, then your company now gets $10 million and you paid $2.5 to $3 million for that. So you make a profit of 75 to 70% profit, right? This is tens of billions of dollars that are on the line. And wouldn't you know, the Trump tariffs get ruled unconstitutional on a technicality, and the company that our Commerce Secretary used to run and is now run by his son,
Cantor Fitzgerald is what it's called.
Cantor Fitzgerald.
Which I just want to throw out there quick too. Every time this comes up, I go look at early life. Guess what I found? I mean, you probably already know.
Yeah.
I mean, he wears a tiny hat.
Yeah, exactly. There's many people that speculate that he is the primary handler for the Trump administration.
Well, it says here, lifelong Democrat, registered as a Republican when Trump ran for president.
Yeah, he gave a lot of money to Hillary Clinton and did a lot of things against the first Trump administration, and then flipped sides in 24. So you have to kind of wonder.
So, hey kid, you want blue Jew or red Jew? Why not both?
Yeah. 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 So it's all very, very suspicious. The generational run that Howard Lutnick, good old Lucky Lutnick.
308's evolved to a higher level. He no longer needs a check. He just simply knows. Well, I was about 90% sure.
Yeah.
When I heard hedge fund and 911 in the same sentence.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and while we're on that topic, interesting little tidbit. Jeffrey Epstein and Howard Lutnick were next door neighbors. Howard Lutnick lived in apartment number 11, and Jeffrey Epstein lived in apartment number 9. 911.
Just part of the old humiliation ritual still.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, causality or anything, but just simply a coincidence, I'm sure. Yeah.
Where do you go from that one? We're doing conspiracies. Do we want to get into the tick thing real quick?
Yeah.
That's a rabbit hole, though. I've known of this whole Lyme disease.
Let's go from one type of parasite to another.
The whole Lyme disease thing has been on the conspiracy theorist, now truth sayer radar for quite some time. The whole name of the disease is named after a town in is it Connecticut? I think. The town of Lyme in Connecticut, which coincidentally was by a bioweapons research lab.
Plum Island.
Yeah, and in the 70s, kids just started showing up with weird arthritis symptoms, strange allergies, and they were just like, boy, that's so odd. This novel disease in ticks that have been present on the continent since man has been here just appeared out of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's pretty much common knowledge now that what we call Lyme disease today was a tick-borne weaponized syphilis strain. And it was developed on Plum Island off the coast. And whether or not it was released on purpose, or you accept the official narration now that deer would swim, because Plum Island's like really close to shore. They say that deer swam back and forth.
Which, fair enough. They found deer swimming in the middle of the Great Lakes before. I don't know what. Maybe the deer kind of like the penguin. They just.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the official story, is that they were messing around weaponized syphilis on Plum Island, and the deer would swim back and forth, pick up some ticks, bring them back. Ticks would breed, spread Lyme disease. But yeah, it's pretty much admitted now that Lyme disease was a bioweapon, and it was I think that they put some effort into it, and they realized that holy shit, ticks are a very unpredictable vector, and this disease is incredibly slow and not very effective. So it was kind of killed off fairly quickly, but we're stuck with Lyme disease. So, however, Lyme disease is not the thing that's getting a lot of news right now. Lyme disease is, of course, on the upswing right now, as is other tick-borne illnesses like tick-borne encephalopathy, and the one that's like the new hotness in the news right now is called alpha-gal syndrome. Have you heard of this one?
which is an offshoot of Lyme disease, isn't it? Or
I'm not sure if it's an offshoot of Lyme disease or not, but what it
I'll look that up.
is,
I am aware of it though.
yeah, so alpha-gal, essentially what it does to you is it makes you allergic to red meat, which this thing popped up like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's spread by something called the Lone Star tick. It's not named for Texas, it's named because it has a white spot on its back, which, brand new tick with a brand new disease, kind of suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the alpha gal symptom is, like I said, it's an allergy to red meat, and by itself, very suspicious. But when you start combining it with a lot of the things that are being said by people like Bill Gates, the World Economic Forum, and other environmentalists, that eating red meat is bad, we have to cull the cattle population, cows contribute to global warming, things kind of start to coalesce into a picture of not something that's happening to us, but something that's being done to us. Now, the thing that gets really weird is that there are a lot of outdoorsmen, hunters, like loggers, or people who are just out on nature hikes. They're finding these boxes in the woods. They're like the size of a shoebox. And they're like, what is that thing doing out here in the middle of the woods? They kick them over, and just like, it's just ticks. A box of ticks is just showing up in the middle of the woods. And I've seen 2 or 3 anecdotal cases as I've been doom scrolling on Twitter. The ticks around here where I live are horrendous. They were just insane last year, and it's probably going to be just as bad or worse this year. So, heads up, if you're planning on going out in the woods, maybe duct tape the cuffs of your pants and watch yourselves, because something does not smell
Well,
right.
I've been aware of this alpha gal syndrome for a while though. I know a guy. He hikes all over the country. He's a naturalist type. Doesn't use chemicals for anything, so he's never used bug spray in his life. He's unfortunate enough to have alpha gal and Lyme disease.
Oof.
But he's had the alpha gal syndrome for probably 20 years. So I don't know if that is something new, but the amount of ticks, that is certainly new.
Yeah.
And that shit's no joke. I mean, if he gets any red meat, he's like violently ill, throwing up. It's not like, it's not like lactose intolerance where I got a little tummy ache, I might poop my pants. It's, I mean, this is violently throwing up, fevers. Just from the smallest bit of red meat.
Yeah, and there's a few documented cases of people actually dying after ingesting red meat with the alpha gal. So good news though. I did read somewhere the other day that there is an acupuncture point somewhere behind the ear that is showing like an 85% success rate with treating alpha gal. So natural medicine strikes again.
So I was just doing some quick research here, and they're not even saying it's from the alpha gal is not. I mean, Lyme disease obviously is from a bacteria. The alpha gal just happens after a bite, like when it injects its saliva into you. um, it creates this allergy.
Hmm.
So I think we're on two separate vectors here. I mean, Lyme disease is obviously a bioweapon. Alpha
Hmm.
gal is just something that happens with the Lone Star tick, but the amount of ticks is the point here.
Yeah, we're being saturated with possibly modified ticks. Okay, allegedly, we're being
Allegedly.
saturated with allegedly modified ticks.
And that seems like something, I mean, let's put on our tinfoil hats here. This doesn't seem like something that our own people would do to us. I would venture into another country, maybe.
It might not be our government, but it might be elements within our government. Like I said, Bill Gates, World Economic Forum, a lot of these so-called environmentalists that want to impose things like carbon taxes and all sorts of other control mechanisms on people in order to save the planet are they really seem to be mad scientists that they want to impose these restrictions rather than let the market correct itself.
Mm.
And I'll go even one step further and put another tinfoil hat on and say that the reason that the push against traditionally raised red meat, i.e., cattle, is has less to do with any type of environmental reason and has more to do with the fact that meat consumption or animal protein consumption, I should say, animal protein consumption is the deciding factor in human anthropology that has led to us being the dominant species on the planet. And you can go back to our own Middle Ages in Europe, where the peasantry subsisted on basically nothing but plant based gruel, and they were small, feeble, weak immune systems, physically weak, and it was only the sort of landed gentry that had access to a steady supply of animal protein
Mm.
that developed physically, mentally, and economically to the point where you had a sort of upper crust and then like a massive amount of peasantry below them. And one of the main reasons that's cited in the early colonial times coming over to the United States was the massive amount of freely available wild game that wasn't owned by a king or a lord, that anybody could just go out. You had passenger pigeon flocks that blotted out the sky for days. You had oysters in the ocean. You had deer and buffalo and all sorts of
Lobster was
stuff.
garbage. I mean, they
Yeah.
if they had lobster come up in their nets, they were chucking them back in the water, smacking them in the head, killing them first. That's what the
Hmm.
dock workers ate because it was garbage food.
Yeah. And then suddenly it became a delicacy because it was one of those things you couldn't get inland.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's the consumption of meat, animal protein, the fats, the amino acids, the proteins that are in there is how you develop a healthy brain and strong muscles.
Hmm.
And if you want to control people, you have to weaken them first. And the best way to weaken them first is through the diet. And this could circle all the way back around to all of the artificial shit that we have in our food these days, all the chemicals and other crap that we put into our bodies right now. It's a deliberate attempt to weaken the population to make them easier to control.
And you gotta wonder. I mean, if humans are seeing this many, what the hell is this doing to all the wildlife, though?
I'm not
All the
sure
all,
if
all the extra ticks. I mean, I saw a couple photos of young deer just. I mean,
yeah.
they were dead and they were just covered in ticks. It looked like they had scales on.
Yeah, and I saw a picture the other day of a guy found a snake in the woods, and it looked like a bunch of grapes. It's just fat, full ticks all the way down this snake. Yeah, yeah. These so if the theory is true that massive numbers of ticks are being bred and released in the wild, the environmentalists are causing a shitload of environmental harm.
A bunch of comments over here. I'll see the clip of Gates saying next pandemic and rubbing his hands. Yeah. I saw a news story. Moderna announced they have a trial Lyme disease vaccine already. Now that
And
it's hitting the news,
hantavirus,
and hentai virus. Yeah.
hentai virus. Yeah, I sent you a clip of one of these
Yeah.
WEF assholes.
Yep.
Maybe we can pull that up here real quick.
Yeah. Let me throw that up here. Which,
And I'm gonna.
hantavirus has been, I mean, you and I live in endemic hantavirus areas. Not sure if you're aware of that or not.
No.
Okay. Let me get this going. Here we go.
If they were to cut down on their change. So I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering. Another.
Boy, that's coincidental, huh?
Yeah, this was a couple of years ago at the World Economic Forum. The guy's last name is Liao. And I don't know if anybody out there is a BattleTech fan the way I am, but wow, Liao is up to something inhuman and unethical. It's like very on brand.
Comment on my friend. I know he's against chemicals, but maybe he could have used a little permethrin. Yeah, he probably could. He could use a little deodorant sometimes too. These are the people who want to eliminate carbon. We are carbon. Increased protein intake is directly linked to lower Alzheimer rates. Lower heart disease and animal protein is the most bioavailable source. You know what also is linked to lower Alzheimer rate is increased cholesterol levels. So,
and what do you get? What do you get cholesterol from? Eggs and meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people on statins that lower their cholesterol have way higher Alzheimer's rates.
Your brain is essentially fat.
It's just a big old blob of fat. So you're gonna,
it's
that's why I'm curious what this Ozempic is going to end up doing to people in 20 years once they've nuked the fat in their body. We find out they shrunk their brain and they all get Alzheimer's at 50 probably.
If you or someone you know is negatively affected by Ozempic or other GLP-1s, call 1-800-SCAM-NOW. You're going to see a lot of those commercials. I can guarantee you that.
I wish we would have I should have segued into this after the British thing, but we have an uprising here in America too, which was helped along by the Supreme Court, and that was with redistricting.
Oh yeah.
I saw a great meme. I don't know if you remember the Seinfeld episode where Kramer has the giant glowing light, and Jerry's like, "What are you doing in there?" And it's Kramer. He says, "We're redistricting maps, Jerry."
Yeah. The Kenny Rogers Roasters sign right outside of his bedroom window. Yeah. So the Supreme Court struck down the Voting Rights Act, which now says that congressional districts that are drawn up to take race into account are no longer constitutional.
Which I claim ignorance. I had no idea this was going on. I mean, why would that even be a thing? How does that not seem racist?
Well, you see, it's only racist if it benefits white people.
Oh, okay. And this is obviously benefiting black people because they have black representation from their districts, right?
Right. So that's
not an 80-year-old Jewish man.
It's not all of them, but somehow it's always one of them.
Yeah.
No, but they're having a meltdown on the left right now, saying that you're disenfranchising black people because they can't have a black representative. And I was under the assumption that in a constitutional republic, you elect representatives based on policy positions, not on color of their skin. But apparently they didn't get that memo in some of these wacky gerrymandered districts that completely took race into account. It's like, I'm sorry, the sub 80 IQ retard that you put into Congress is no longer going to be your congressman now. Maybe you can find somebody to put in there, no matter what their skin color is, that will actually have the intelligence to do something for you rather than just say they're going to do something for you and make your life demonstrably worse.
Well, that situation I brought up is real. One of these districts, these racial districts, is I mean, it's a majority black district. I wish I had it so I don't start just making shit up. But it is represented by like, I think he's 73, a 73-year-old white Jewish man.
Yeah.
So
well, that very well could be one of the examples of getting elected based on policy positions, or it
sure.
could very well be pandering, racial pandering. But yeah, so a lot of the left wing people are pissed off about it. Gavin Newsom put something up on
they're
on
apocalyptic
Twitter
on it.
Oh yeah, because this is going to not going to steal. It's going to ensure that these race-based Democrat seats are going to disappear, and I think the Republicans are expected to pick up like 20 or 30 seats because of it. One of the biggest vocal critics was Gavin Newsom. He said that all of these states that are redistricting are Confederates, which a lot of this is going on in the Deep South, in the former Confederacy. And the reason that it's going on there is because a lot of the race-based gerrymandering was in response to Reconstruction era representation, white guilt because of the Civil War and slavery.
Well, the Voting Rights Act was by Lyndon B. Johnson, who we know had the most upstanding reasons for doing this stuff for black people, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have those N-words voting for us for decades.
200 years.
Yeah.
It's not sorry to burst your bubble, off. LBJ. You were a little bit off. It's kind of like the 1,000-year Reich didn't last 1,000 years. But yeah, it's like another one of them is J.B. Pritzker up in Illinois. He was saying something like, "Oh, these Republicans are gerrymandering their districts in order to cement control." And somebody posted, I saw his tweet, and somebody replied to it. It's like, "My brother in Christ, this is literally a congressional district in Chicago."
Let me find the Baltimore map real quick.
Yeah. But this one was in Chicago, and it was like a large neighborhood here, a large neighborhood here, and then it was literally like a street that connected them.
Maryland's one of the worst ones. Let me throw this up here. I mean, this has been and the perfect. I don't even understand how they're making a case against this. I mean, they've been doing it for so long. I don't know why the GOP took so long to do it. But like most things, it seems, all right, honestly, the Democrats are just better at politics. So the Democrats came up with it, and for some reason, it took the GOP this long to figure it out. Let me solo this. Look at that. Look at this map. You can't tell me that's not gerrymandered.
Yeah. Like 1 looks okay, 5 looks okay, 6 looks okay, and then you get in the middle and it's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, there's some in here. It looks like it's probably 2 neighborhoods or something, and this number 4, it stretches out. You got a little street here connecting up down here. They've been doing this shit for decades. And I don't know if the GOP was just trying to take the high ground and say, well, we don't have to gerrymander to, I don't know why they wouldn't have done it from the get-go. Even here in Nebraska, why do we have one little blue district in Omaha? Split it up.
Well, it's because that's where all the people are. I can see Omaha and the surrounding area being its own congressional district, and then you have like the big crescent of District 1 that's like Lincoln and the surrounding area because it's much more sparsely populated. And then you have like 2/3 of Nebraska is District 3 because there's just nobody out here. It makes sense here. But that shit in Maryland is
It makes sense in a
unreal.
fair way. I mean, they're doing it in the Northeast. I'm at the point, fuck it, cut Omaha in half and put half of Omaha in District 3 that votes 90% Republican.
Yeah, but some of the responses to some of these meltdowns have been very good. One that I saw was like, if you're upset about this, and it was the picture of the new majority red Deep South, and it's like,
Mhm.
and you're not upset about this, and it's a picture of New England. New England is solid blue. There's not a single Republican representative from any of the New England states, and then it had the vote tallies. Like Maine, 42% went to Trump. Massachusetts was like 39%.
Yeah, they should have at least one in
At least
Massachusetts.
one.
If you've ever been to Massachusetts, there are some dark red territories in Massachusetts, and they get none.
Like, yeah, you get out of New York City, you get out of Philadelphia, you get outside of Boston, and it's red all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's same thing, get outside of Chicago. Illinois is rural farmland and Chicago, and yet the whole state goes Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Maine is woods and farmers and lobster fishermen, and it goes Democrat because they've got one big city that takes up the entire space, and that state legislature is then able to district the state in such a way that disenfranchises, like I said, 42% of the population from their national representation.
And the way they're talking, I mean, it's not like they're talking, oh, we're going to fight this. They're talking like, oh, we're fucked. Like, yeah, we got caught.
Yeah. Yeah, and as these maps come out, and I will be the first to say that some of these redistricting maps that the Republicans have come up with, they don't look good. They don't look good. They look a little gerrymandered. They look a little bit suspicious, like some politicking was going on. But them's the rules. If you step into a boxing ring and your opponent pulls a gun and you insist on fighting by the Marquise de Queensberry rules, you're going to get shot. So these are the rules now. Don't get upset when we play by them too.
I brought up a bigger map of that Maryland one I brought up. It literally is that weird District 4 I pointed out. It is just one street to connect it to that other part.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Chicago one is horrendous.
Same way.
Yeah. It is. It's two neighborhoods connected by a street that, like, it's not even like the two things and there's like a street that goes in between them. It's like two of them and it like loops way around and comes back over. It's like 3 right angles to make this district work.
So, I mean, at this point, they're kind of cooked between that and the amount of population shift going on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to lose so many seats. That's why. I mean, I know the GOP doesn't want to end the filibuster, and I just said that Democrats are better at politicking. I could see the Democrats, if they get any power again before this happens, they're going to get rid of that filibuster.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. This redistricting right now might just be the silver bullet that keeps the Republicans in control of the House in the midterms. Because if they don't keep control of the House in the midterms, we are going to see a catastrophic amount of retaliatory legislation come through. You're going to see impeachments, you're going to see assault weapons bans, and even if they don't have a chance of going anywhere thanks to the Supreme Court, fuck it, they'll pack the Supreme Court. They will do every dirty trick in the book to get their way.
And that all
they will have
getting rid of that filibuster. They get rid of that filibuster first. All that's easy for them.
Right. It's the thing that's so frustrating about the way that the Republicans and the Democrats conduct themselves is that the Republicans offer and campaign on a lot of good stuff, and then when it comes time to actually implement their campaign promises, they don't deliver any of it because the media is on the side of the Democrats and convinces the population that the Republicans are doing something shady in order to get their agenda passed. The Democrats will offer up and campaign on positions that sound good at a surface level, But as soon as you scratch it with your fingernail, it's god awful. But if they get an inkling of power, they will use every dirty trick in the book to ram it through. They will make your life demonstrably worse. And then the next election cycle, they will offer fixes to the problems that they caused that will just make it worse. And then they just complete this little feedback cycle. The Republicans, on the other hand, they know the problems, they know the fixes, they can't get the fixes put through because the media convinces the public that these things are unconstitutional or bigoted or racist or whatever, and because there's a large subset of the Republican Party that wants these problems to remain in place because they are wedge issues that can be campaigned on in the next cycle. If these public figures were more interested in fixing problems than winning the next election, we could easily just press the fix everything easily button and we could be a proper country again.
More comments here. Somebody commented, look at West Virginia as they just redid theirs. I just went to the West Virginia website and the link for it's broken, but that people in that state can barely read, so it's probably can't quite figure out a website. Sorry,
that's actually
on West Virginia.
That's actually an excellent juxtaposition because you look at what's going on in West Virginia versus what's going on in Virginia. Virginia just elected an outright like CIA agent communist to be their governor, and it was like day one, her new Democrat majority state legislature handed her a stack of bills that was like the commie wish list, and she just signed everything into law, and people were like, whoa, pump the brakes here. We voted for you as a protest vote against the Republicans not to turn our state into North fucking Korea. And then West Virginia was like, you know what? You guys passed an assault weapons ban. We're legalizing machine guns through an NFA loophole. How do you like that?
I had a great old post from the Roads to Liberty page when we used to do regular memes come up. It was like, the governor of Virginia is more dangerous to America than any theocrat in Iran. And I was like, holy shit, that's still topical.
How long ago was that?
I think we put it up for some dumb shit. What was that guy's name?
Ralph Northam.
Northam. Yeah, I think we put up for some Northam did, but man, we could have posted that today and it would have been completely on topic.
God, it's like history is a flat circle.
So let me make sure I got all the speaking of redistricting, Virginia Dems had their attempt slapped down. Yeah, they're already fighting that one though. Only statin I'm worried about is myostatin. Inhibited so I can have higher muscle growth.
Yeah. I wish I could flip that around.
Right.
See some gains.
I made it back to the gym for the first time in 3 months, so I'm getting back at it. We usually quit during January because of all the influx of resolution people, and one turned into 3, so that was on me. I'm back at it though. We're at an hour. Speaking of gains, go to the alexjonesstore.com/R2L and get some supplements to help you out in that territory.
Somebody ordered something today. I got an email saying that our referral went through. I'm like, what referral? I haven't ordered anything in a while. And it was like, oh, a fan must have got something.
Thank you for using the code. That keeps us, we're building up a little pot from, we get 25 cents here and there from Facebook and YouTube and Rumble, and it goes in the R2L account. And I think we're almost at $200 after all this time.
Yeah, I haven't cashed in the Alex Jones store yet. I'll have to go check and see how much is in that kitty, but it's actually probably like double that right now.
Nice. We can almost get a ticket to go somewhere, get you to SHOT Show is the big dream.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So hit the Alex Jones store if you want to see Hobbs go to SHOT Show and give a report. I'm sure we could try and get him a press badge somehow. So Alex Jones store, yes. /R2L, roads to liberty.com. Those of you on Facebook, make sure to, Jared said that was me. You're welcome. Those of you on YouTube, make sure you have us followed on Rumble. We have some people, one of you guys on YouTube, if you could pop over to Rumble some stream and throw something in the chat so I can make sure that our chat actually works over there. we get plenty of people watching, but no comments. So maybe it's just most of them are bots. Who knows? So make sure to get us on those. R2L Pod at Twatter. We have the old R2L count is active now too on X. So we still need to get Nathan on that one. We'll try and make that happen. It's nice to have 2 accounts on X. So if we ever get kicked off of one for some reason, we have a backup now.
Yep, I'm trying to be more active over there. Maybe one of these days I'll get enough followers to get monetized. I get a lot of likes on stuff, but I rarely get people actually follow on the account. But,
so we're working on that one. We keep trucking away. We'll be back. Let's see. Next week we are back again. I don't think we have any missed shows until the end of the month. So we will see you next week, same time, and stay honky. Hobbs, stick around after it stops.
Okay.